Okay, we're continuing in the second Torah in Likutey Moharan, and we're going to start with Akdama from the Gemara, a certain story in the Gemara which is going to help us understand the continuation of Likutey Moharan. So in the Gemara Bab Metzia, Daf Nun Tes Amud Aleph, it says, Tanan Hasam Chatchu Chulios V'Nasan Chol Ben Chulia LeChulia. So if you take rings, you cut out like rings of an oven. The way they used to have ovens back then was like an oven like this. Apparently, it was like a teepee kind of with a hole in the top, and they would put fire in the bottom. They would have like an opening to put fire in the bottom, and the heat would rise up into this cone-shaped thing, and you put the pot on the top of the cone, and that was an oven. So if you cut the oven into chulios, into rings, and you put sand between each ring, and you put it back together with sand in the middle, then there's machlokas whether such an oven can receive tumah or not. Rabbi Eliezer metaher v'chamim metamim. Rabbi Eliezer says that such an oven is tahor and cannot become tama, cannot become tama, and the chachamim say that it's tama, it can become tama. V'zeu tana shel achnai, and this is a tana shel achnai. This is a tana that's called achnai. My achnai. What does it mean that it's achnai? Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Mashmul shekifo dvarim ke'achna zu v'tamu. They surrounded it like, I think achna is a snake, like a snake, and they made it tama. Meaning the rabbis covered it with halachas and said it was tama. Now this is the story. After we know there's machlokas now, Rabbi Eliezer holds that such an oven is tahor, and Chalim hold it's tama. Now, at a certain day, when they were arguing in the middle of their argument, Rabbi Eliezer answered all of the rabbis' questions. The rabbis asked many kashas on Rabbi Eliezer's approach, and Rabbi Eliezer answered every single one of them. Amar lahem im halacha kamosi charov ze yochiach. And Rabbi Eliezer turned to them and said, if the halacha is like me and I'm correct, that such an oven is tahor, then this carob tree should prove that I'm correct. There should be a miracle that should happen with the carob tree. Ne'akar charuf mimkomo mea ama vamila arbamos ama. The carob tree uprooted itself from its place and moved 100 amas, 100 yards. And some say 400 yards. A yard is around an amma. And replanted itself apparently in that new place. The tree actually itself got up, uprooted itself from its place, and moved 100 or 400 amos. Amru lo, ein mevim ra'im min ha'charov. The rabbi said to him, you can't bring us a proof from a carob tree. That's not fair. We're talking about halacha here. You can't bring a proof from a carob tree. Chazru v'amru lahem, im halacha kamosi. So he turned around and he said to them, you know what, I'll give you another proof. If what I'm saying is true, then the river should prove that I'm correct. There should be a miracle with the river. The river stopped flowing downward and started flowing upwards. And the rabbi said to Rabbi Eliezer, we can't bring a proof from the river. It's not something that we don't bring a proof from these things. And then he turned to them and he said, fine, if what I'm saying is true, then the walls of the Beis Medrash should prove that I'm correct. Hitu kosle Beis Medrash lipo, and the walls all of a sudden started, the walls of the Beis Medrash that they were sitting inside of, apparently, all of a sudden started bending down and started leaning over to fall down. Gar behem Rabbi Yeshua, and Rabbi Yeshua screamed at these walls. Amar lahem, im talmidei chachamim menatzchem ze et ze ba'halacha, atem mativa. He says, we are fighting in halacha. What do you have to do with us? What are you involved with us, you walls? So, he was telling them to stop. He was telling them not to get involved in their discussion in halacha. He was saying, we're talking about the law, and what do you walls have to do with our law? Lo naflu mipnei kvodo shel Rabbi Yeshua, and therefore the walls did not actually collapse in and did not fall because of the honor of Rabbi Yeshua. V'lo zakvu mipnei kvodo shel Rabbi Eliezer, v'adayin matim v'omdim, and they did not straighten out and stand upright because of the kavod of Rabbi Eliezer, because Rabbi Eliezer was apparently telling them to cave in. And till today, or till I guess when this brisa was written, or until at least the story ended, they stayed bent over, half bent over. So he turned around to them and he said, Rabbi Eliezer said to them, to Rabbi Yeshua and the Chamim, he said, if what I'm saying is true, that the oven is really tahor, then from Shemaim they should come and prove that I'm correct. And Yatsa Basko v'Amra Malachem Etzu Rabbi Eliezer Shalacha Kamosa B'chol Makom. A baskol, a voice came out from heaven and said, why are you dealing with Rabbi Eliezer? He's right always. You must always accept his opinion because he's always right. Don't argue with him. Amad Rabbi Yeshua al Raglav v'Amar Lo b'Shamayim hi. And Rabbi Yeshua stood up on his feet and said, it is not decided in Shemaim. In Shemaim they do not decide the halacha. My lo b'Shamayim. What does it mean that in Shemaim they don't decide the halacha? Amir b'Yirmiyah shekvar nisna Torah mihar Sinai ve'inanu mashkichim b'Baskol. Rabbi Yirmiyah explained that since the Torah is already given to Klal Yisrael, already given to the Jews, we do not pay attention to a baskol when the baskol tries to decide halacha for us. Shekvar kosva behar Sinai b'Torah achirabim latos. Because it's written in the Torah that we have a rule. The rule is we must follow the rabbim. The rabbim are the majority, and whatever the majority of opinions, whatever they state, that's how the halacha must be, and that's how we must follow halacha. The Torah does not say go up to Shemaim and search to see if from Shemaim we can get a baskol, from heaven we can get a voice that will come down and tell us what the halacha is. That's not how we're supposed to do it. We're supposed to go after the rabbim, after the majority. Ashkechai Rabbi Nachman Eliyahu Amar lei my avid kucha brichuhu by shaita. Rabbi Nachman found Eliyahu Navi, and he asked Eliyahu Navi, what is Hashem doing at this time? Amar lei kachayich, he's happy, he's smiling. V'amar netzchuni b'ni netzchuni, and he's saying these words. He's saying, you should win over me, my children. You should win over me. Amar osu hayom haviu kol ta shetir Rabbi Eliezer v'sarfum beish v'nitmu v'nimnu alav v'barchu. At that day, they took all of the taharos, all of the holy foods that Rabbi Eliezer said was tahar because of this oven. Since he held the oven was tahar, anything that touched the oven also would be tahar. Anything that went into the oven, even food that is tahar, that is very kodesh and that could be easily susceptible to tumah. And they took all of these things that touched this oven that Rabbi Eliezer held was tahar and the Chamim held was tameh, and they made this food tameh. And they burnt it in the fire. And also they put Rabbi Eliezer in nidui, I think, this is barchu, that they put him in nidui for or in chirim, something like that. They put him in for disagreeing with the Chamim. I'm pretty sure that this is what that last piece is going on. Again, I'm not learning from the Gemara, I'm learning from this Likutey Moharan that I have, which has all the makros. So it's kind of cheating. I don't have the Rashi there to explain. So in any case, Hashem is saying, my children, you should win over me. And what he means by that is that even though I am saying from heaven, or heaven is saying that such an oven is tahor like Rabbi Eliezer, still the halacha is that, like you, the people on earth, that it's really tameh.